was Jake. He actually works until 7, so he couldn't make it tonight. He was kind of bummed and tried to figure out how to get off of work early, but it just wasn't working. And this is Penelope, and she is 11 weeks old. So, like Christina said, I had kind of a rocky pregnancy, but once I got the gestational diabetes under control, I controlled it with diet, and it wasn't too bad. Just got my key foods that I would eat every day, and I pretty much ate the same thing every day. Got my blood sugar under control, and I was kind of under the impression that as long as I did what they told me to do, and I kept my blood sugar where it was supposed to be, everything else was fine. It was kind of like I didn't have it. It was like I didn't have this disease. And so every time I went into the office, my blood pressure was high. And okay, we'll go pee in a cup, because they wanted to check for protein, and they wanted to check my blood. They were checking for preeclampsia, because high blood pressure plus swelling and abnormal blood tests and protein in the urine would mean preeclampsia. So that happened about 3 or 4 times. Blood tests were normal, no protein in the urine. I just had high blood pressure, and when I would take it at home, lo and behold, it was lower. So I was just advocating for myself as much as I possibly could, with a lot of help from Christina. I don't think you guys realize how awesome these 2 people are, and how much they give of themselves to make this happen. And I'm going to try not to cry. I didn't expect to cry, sorry. So when I went in, like she said, for my 37-week appointment, well, we need to start talking about induction. How about next Wednesday? And I'm going, and I'm a teacher, and I teach high school art, and I had this big binder with the day-to-day, all of these lesson plans, and it wasn't done yet. And I thought, I can't do this. So I called Christina. I did lots of research on the internet. Apparently it's very common to be induced when you have gestational diabetes, and then on top of that, the high blood pressure. So they were very adamant about me getting induced. And I was like, I really don't want to. So I actually toyed with the idea of just not showing up at my appointment. And just waiting for labor to start on its own, and just showing up and saying, hey, I know you haven't seen me in a while, but here I am, let's have a baby. But they would say things like stillbirth, and there were risks, and I needed to acknowledge the risks. So I agreed to extra ultrasounds and extra appointments and extra tests so that I could go those extra 2 weeks. And so I did the extra 2 weeks, went in on my due date at Mercy Gilbert, got induced, and I was terrified to be induced, because I know that an induced birth sometimes can be a lot more painful. Contractions, when they don't happen naturally, especially if it's with Pitocin, are a lot stronger, sometimes closer together, very tiring. So I was really terrified, and my midwife said, let's avoid Pitocin at all costs, and let's do gels. So they did prostaglandin gels. I did 3 rounds of that, and it was kind of like, you guys have all talked about the labor, how it was like kind of fun. Oh, I think I'm having a contraction, and we're walking around the hospital, and he's timing them, and we just think we're the cutest thing. And then it gets to be about 5 o'clock, and labor would kind of start and stop. I was having contractions every 15 minutes or so. I wasn't dilating. So my midwife comes in at about 7 o'clock and says, you really need to be progressing more than you are. We've got a couple options. Do you want to do Pitocin, or do you want to have your water broken, and then if that doesn't work, then Pitocin? And the funny little side story to this is I had a diabetic diet in the hospital. So they brought me fettuccine Alfredo and all this huge high-carb meal, and I'm going, this is not right. So finally the nurse was advocating for me, and she finally got me salmon. So the midwife comes in and says, break your water, you can have your dinner, we'll see how things go. I never ate my salmon. Broke my water at 7:05, and it's funny because the pictures, there's a picture of me just kind of like this in the bed, and then the next picture is her on my chest. So at 11:58 p.m., the day before Thanksgiving, Penelope was born. And what I tell people, because I'm sure you guys have been Bradley's parents, you share with someone, I'm going to have an unmedicated birth, it's going to be a natural birth, and everybody goes, yeah, right, we'll stay on that for me. Even if I had chosen to change my mind, even if I said, this is ridiculously painful, I want drugs. There was not time. I went from no labor whatsoever to, like Donkey Kong, contractions one right after the other, and I couldn't even tell you what the password time was. So it was just very fast, very quick. It is is amazing to me what your body does naturally. My body knew when to push. I'm sure Christina's talked about the overwhelming urge to push. It's absolutely what it is. And, you know, I told my midwife, I'm going to push. She goes, okay, go ahead. It was an amazing experience. I was so thrilled to have an induced birth and still have an unmedicated, other than the gels, unmedicated birth. I was allowed to labor in the tub. That made a huge difference for me, and it was wonderful. Because my labor was so fast, unfortunately, my husband Jake didn't get to put on his Speedo and join me in the tub. He was a little bummed about
He
that.
really bought one.
He really bought one. Really, truly. And he showed it to the midwife later, and she goes, oh. So, trying to think of what else is there to tell.
What's a good tool you guys use to manage the?
Changing positions definitely helped. I ended up birthing on my side. We tried over the back of the bed, and I had some pretty intense back labor. Like I said, the tub helped with that. Moving around in the tub helped with that. I would actually fall asleep in between contractions. Being surrounded by people who support your choices is probably the most important thing, I would have to say. So if you have people that want to visit, I think my dad showed up halfway through my labor. He was going to come by at about 6, and then from 6 to 8:30 when he showed up, I had my water broken and my labor started. So I went from nothing to full-on labor, and he comes in and grabs a chair and sits down, and I kind of look out of one eye, and I'm just sweating, and I look at him, and he's just kicking back, smiling, and I'm going, what is he doing here? So I asked my husband, you know, have somebody assertive that's going to be your bodyguard. I told my husband, you got to get my dad out of here. I can't do this with him in here. But definitely make sure that the people that are around you support your decisions, aren't going to try to talk you into something you don't want to do, and know what you want. They know what you want without you having to say it. That was a huge thing, because I found myself not able to talk. So I got very nauseous during labor, and I ended up throwing up a lot, and which I forget about that now, so if that freaks you out, I'm sorry, don't be freaked out by that. But they actually held peppermint oil, my husband held peppermint oil underneath my nose, and that helped my nausea and helped me control my breathing, because that's why I was getting nauseous. I wasn't controlling my breathing the way I was supposed to, the way I had practiced for many, many months, and it just came on so hard and so fast I kind of forgot myself. So my husband was there, and he would know just by a wave of my hand what I needed him to do. And just having that unspoken communication is such a huge thing. So all of the stuff that seems silly when you're practicing it, makes it happen naturally without having somebody tell you to do it.
Cool. How about you guys have any questions?
After we're actually going to Mercy Gilbert, so after going through that, how
I loved it. I absolutely loved it. The nurses were wonderful. I gave them my birth plan. Every new person that came in said, I read your birth plan. Everything sounds great. I know that you don't want this, this, and this. Sounds wonderful. You know, if you decline vaccines or whatever, they just bring you the paper and you sign it, and they don't try to talk you into it. It was an absolutely wonderful experience. All the nurses were great. It was wonderful. And I don't like hospitals.
What do you think Jake would say? His, like when you guys saw your story, what did he learn, or what did he fall back on during labor that helped him?
Be prepared for everything, and expect everything to not go the way you wanted it.
Okay.
Just to be prepared for everything. I mean, like I said, he brought his Speedo. We brought all kinds of stuff to do while I was laboring. It all sat in the bags. What else did he say? Probably say try to predict what she needs. She doesn't have to say it.
Good.
Just say exactly what she needs.
Awesome.
Cool. Awesome.
And so tell us Penelope's birth stats.
Oh, she was 6 pounds 9 ounces, which for a gestational diabetic baby, they're supposed to be super huge, and she was clearly not super huge, so I can't imagine how small she would have been had she been born 2 weeks earlier. She was 6 pounds 9 ounces, 21 inches long.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
Now we'll